For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. More than a third of Americans are under extreme heat advisories, watches, and warnings as blistering heat wave bakes the U.S. from South Florida west to California. It's forecast to bring the hottest weather of the year, particularly in the Southwest. In California's Death Valley, heat could top 130 degrees, the hottest on record. The sweltering conditions are expected to keep building through the weekend and force residents to seek out air conditioning and cooling centers, which are often located in local libraries and community centers. This comes as NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, said Thursday June was the hottest month ever recorded around the world since record keeping began 174 years ago. It also recorded a record sea ice low around the globe, mostly due to massive loss in the Antarctic, some 940,000 square miles below average. A heat wave is also gripping southern Europe from North Africa to the Mediterranean. It could reach as far as Germany, with temperatures forecast to hit triple digits. U.S. climate envoy John Kerry faced a grilling by Republicans on a House Foreign Affairs Oversight Subcommittee Thursday, some of whom disputed climate change. Scott Baba reports.
In one of the more heated confrontations, Republican Representative Scott Perry of Pennsylvania accused Kerry of drumming up a problem that doesn't exist and went so far as to suggest that reducing carbon emissions could be dangerous to the environment.
As you know, Secretary, plant life all depends on CO2, and when we kill it, then we're done too. I yield the balance.
Congressman, let me just say that I don't agree with what you're saying out there for any number of reasons. I don't have time to go into all of them now, but I'll just tell you point blank. Why do you think 195 countries in the world, their prime ministers, their presidents...
Because they're grifting like you are, sir.
That's a pretty shocking statement, that you believe that all the scientists in the world are grifters, honestly.
I'm Scott Baba, Pacifica Radio.
The United Nations says 2.4 billion people did not have constant access to food last year. As many as 783 million faced hunger, and 148 million children suffered from stunted growth. 5 UN agencies said in the 2023 report on food security and nutrition that global hunger numbers stalled between 2021 and 2022, but many places face deepening food crises. They pointed to Western Asia, the Caribbean, and Africa, where 20% of the population is experiencing hunger, and the war in Ukraine, which they say has affected people's access to nutrition, food, and healthy diets. Russia is accusing the West of sponsoring nuclear terrorism and said a Ukrainian drone hit the Russian town of Kurchatov, where a nuclear power station similar to the Chernobyl plant is located. The governor of Russia's Kursk region on the border of Ukraine said the drone hit a residential apartment building overnight. No injuries were reported. Unrelenting bloodshed in the U.S. this year has led to the grimmest of milestones, the deadliest 6 months recorded since at least 2006 for mass murders in the U.S., mostly involving guns. 28 mass killings. The U.S. has also had 377 mass shootings so far this year. Relatives of those killed and wounded during last year's mass shooting at a Buffalo, New York supermarket by a white supremacist are suing several online and social media platforms, weapons retailers, and others who they say contributed to the massacre. The lawsuit announced Wednesday names Meta, Instagram, and Google, among others, along with the maker of the body armor the shooter wore and the firearms retailers that sold him weapons. Peyton Gendron killed 10 black people and wounded 3 other victims in May of 2022 in an attack authorities say was fueled by racist conspiracy theories he encountered online. He's serving life in prison without parole. The Biden administration announced it will automatically forgive some $39 billion in student debt for more than 800,000 borrowers today. It's a result of fixes to the student loan system's income-driven repayment plans. Those changes mean borrowers will see remaining debt canceled after making consistent payments between 20 years and 25 years. The announcement comes after the conservative majority Supreme Court struck down Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. The Republican-controlled House approved amendments to the nation's defense spending bill to block abortion and transgender health care for members of the armed services. Edwin J. Vieira reports.
While debating the 2024 National Defense Authorization Act, Texas Republican Representative Ronnie Jackson attached an amendment limiting abortion access in the military.
Taxpayer money provided to DOD is intended to provide for our national defense and our national security, not to promote and support the Biden administration's radical and immoral pro-abortion agenda.
It passed by a vote of 221 to 213, though this was just one of several controversial amendments added to this legislation. Another amendment passed on a party line vote bans military health plans from covering gender transition surgeries and gender-affirming hormone therapy. The addition of these pieces of legislation set up a partisan fight between Republicans and Democrats over the bill's passage by both houses of Congress. I'm Edwin J. Vieira for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
And striking screen actors will picket alongside writers in New York and Los Angeles today in what has become the largest Hollywood labor fight in decades since the 1960s. Members of the actors' union SAG-AFTRA voted unanimously to go on strike over issues including pay and the use of artificial intelligence to replace their work. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.